the biggest Taiwan arms sale under President Biden, coming in at $1.1 billion. But can Washington deliver the weapons in time? U.S. tariffs on Chinese imports will stay in place, at least for now. That's after requests from several industries. A major earthquake shaking a city in southwest China. 21 million are under lockdown orders there, some of them blocked from fleeing their buildings. And the UK gets a new prime minister. As one of America's closest allies, we look at her stance on China and Russia. Welcome to China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. Washington is shoring up Taiwan's defense. The State Department approved a $1.1 billion arms sale to the island on Friday and is waiting for Congress's approval. The pending sale comes after a series of escalations in the three-way tensions between Beijing, Taiwan, and the U.S. In early August, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi traveled to Taiwan, making her the highest-ranking U.S. politician to visit the island in 25 years. Soon after, Beijing responded by conducting live military drills near Taiwan. For the first time, Taiwan shut down a Chinese civilian drone that entered its airspace last week. Taiwan's premier said the drone operators ignored Taiwan's warnings to leave, so troops had no choice but to exercise self-defense and shoot. The U.S. also sailed 2 warships through the Taiwan Strait last weekend. Back to the arms sale package, it's the Biden administration's largest arms sale to Taiwan. It includes 60 anti-ship missiles and 100 air-to-air missiles. Sales like these sometimes take years to finalize. But the White House senior director for Taiwan and China said the administration tried to accelerate the process. Director Laura Rosenberger explained the administration is acutely aware of the need to expedite delivery. The U.S. can sell up to $45 billion worth of weapons to foreign allies and partners every year. It's a tool for Washington to spread American influence. The Pentagon, White House, and State Department are all involved. The State Department oversees the arms sale program, but it has to get final approval from Congress. The Pentagon then carries out the logistics. The Pentagon is trying to speed up its arms sale process. It set up a special task force last month to examine inefficiencies and streamline the process. Analysts say supplying Taiwan with arms in advance is critical. That's because it'd be almost impossible to do so if a war were to break out between Beijing and Taiwan. And even after arms sales are approved, it could take 4 or 5 years for the U.S. to actually deliver the weapons. Rupert Hammond Chambers, president of the U.S. Taiwan Business Council, is an expert that tracks U.S. arms sales. He told the Washington Post that none of the weapons approved in the Biden administration's previous sales to Taiwan have been delivered. A tiny island country in the Pacific is supporting Taiwan. The leader of Tuvalu pledged to stand firm on a commitment to lasting ties during a trip to Taiwan on Monday.
Through tumultuous time of geostrategic agendas, we continue to stand firm in our commitment to remain a lasting and loyal ally of the Republic of China.
The Republic of China is Taiwan's formal name. Netanyahu's speech comes amid heightened tensions between Taiwan and its communist neighbor, and as Beijing is trying to expand its influence in the Pacific region. Netanyahu added that the cornerstones of the diplomatic ties between Tuvalu and Taiwan are the principles of democracy, trust, human rights, and freedom of the individual. Tuvalu has a population of about 10,000 and is one of only 14 countries to retain diplomatic relations with Taiwan. Tuvalu is also one of the 4 areas in the Pacific where Beijing and Washington are tussling for influence. Tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars worth of Chinese imports will stay in place for now. The Biden administration made the announcement Friday as it continues a review of the duties imposed by former President Donald Trump. Tariffs usually expire after 4 years, but the U.S. Trade Representative's office said that it received requests from companies and other interested parties to keep the tariffs, which were imposed in 2018 and 2019. A formal review of whether to keep the tariffs in place will be held, but it could take months. The Biden administration had been considering whether to remove some tariffs as a way to reduce inflation pressures. A province in southwestern China hit by a 6.8 magnitude earthquake. The quake shook a capital city 140 miles away from its epicenter. But 21 million residents there are still under COVID-19 lockdown and weren't allowed to leave their homes when the disaster hit. Here's what happened.
A magnitude 6.8 earthquake struck China's southwestern Sichuan province on Monday. According to state media CCTV, the earthquake has killed at least 46 people. The quake also triggered landslides, prompting stones and soil to fall from mountainsides and causing power interruptions and damage to homes. The China Earthquake Network Center reported the quake's epicenter was about 140 miles away from the province's capital, Chengdu City. That's where 21 million residents are currently under a COVID-19 lockdown. An internet user living in the city shared about what he experienced during the earthquake. He lives in a high-rise building and explained he didn't plan on exiting his building during the quake. He added that his building manager said that even during the earthquake, fleeing the building would violate local COVID-19 rules. A video online shows a group of residents tried to get out of the building but were stopped by pandemic control workers. The workers argue that the residents couldn't leave the building even during a natural disaster.
China's tech giants are buying up video game companies worldwide. Chinese tech giant Netease announced on Wednesday that it acquired prominent video game developer Quantic Dream. The developer is behind popular games like Detroit, Become Human, and the upcoming game Star Wars Eclipse. Quantic Dream is a French company known for interactive storytelling games. This would be the first European developer China's Netease owns completely. Both Netease and fellow Chinese company Tencent are buying up and investing in game developers around the world. In the first half of 2021, Tencent completed one game-related deal every 2.5 days. It now owns Riot Games, famous for League of Legends, and 40% of Fortnite developer Epic Games. Netease is also setting up studios in the US and Japan and expanding from mobile and PC gaming into console gaming. Britain's new Prime Minister has been decided. Liz Truss has ascended to the top of the UK's right-wing Conservative Party. And with that comes the top job in Britain's politics. She's set to take a new approach to China. Here's what you should know about her.
I have a plan to make Britain a high-growth economy over the next 10 years.
Who is Liz Truss, Britain's new Prime Minister? The Conservative politician takes over from Boris Johnson after running a campaign that focuses on tax cuts, championing Brexit, and a strong stance on Russia and China.
So now is not the time for business as usual. Now is the time we need to do things differently. We need to be bold.
Let's take a look at how she got to the top job in British politics.
What's happening today?
Born in 1975, Truss has not always been a Conservative. Raised by left-wing parents, she was a teenage member of the centrist Liberal Democrats. As a student in Oxford, Truss switched to the Conservatives. She entered Parliament in 2010, and by 2014 she settled into her first cabinet position as a Secretary of State for Environment, Food and Rural Affairs under David Cameron. In the 2016 EU referendum, Truss voted in favour of Britain remaining in the bloc. But she changed her mind after her side lost, saying Brexit provided an opportunity to, quote, shake up the way things work.
That means making the most of the post-Brexit opportunities. I would get all the EU laws off our statute books by the end of 2023.
Truss served under Theresa May and Boris Johnson in various ministerial positions. In 2021, she was handed the top role of Foreign Secretary. She's become a strident critic of Russian President Vladimir Putin. And when Russia invaded Ukraine in February, she took a hard line.
Now is not the time to let up. Putin must fail. We know from history that aggressors only understand one thing, and that is strength. We know that if we don't do enough now, other aggressors around the world will be emboldened.
Truss has been dubbed as the new Iron Lady. She herself has long cited Margaret Thatcher as an inspiration. Even her biggest critics say her appeal is that she is dynamic and a workaholic who is across the detail of policy.
I'm somebody in every job in government I've done, whether it's at the Foreign Office, whether it's at trade, I've got things done.
This is so awkward.
Some Conservatives say one of Truss's biggest weaknesses are her communication skills. One characterised her as being a bit wooden. Others in the party hope she's able to steady the ship after Boris Johnson's turbulent 3 years in power.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon.
The incoming British Prime Minister may label the Chinese Communist regime a threat to national security, but the decision won't be a simple one.
Now they're going to call it somewhere between an acute adversary and acute enemy, language that is absolutely anticipating hostility. Again, how do you marry that with Britain's strong economic and trade relationship with China, something that her predecessors, most particularly David Cameron and George Osborne in the middle of the last decades, were rolling out the carpet to preserve and to enhance.
Liz Truss was named as the UK's new Prime Minister on Monday. Intensifying competition over naval power. India, Beijing's main competitor in the Indo-Pacific, is trying to catch up on its aircraft carrier fleet. And the country is celebrating a breakthrough. Here's a closer look.
India is taking a step forward in its efforts to catch up with regional rival China in terms of naval power. The nation's Prime Minister Narendra Modi commissioned the first home-built aircraft carrier on Friday. It's the largest warship ever built in India.
Today, India joins the countries that build such large aircraft carriers with indigenous technology.
The ship came after 17 years of construction and tests.
From offshore patrol vessels, submarines to aircraft carriers, Indian Navy's power is increasing at a rapid pace. This will further strengthen our Navy in the future.
India's main regional rival is China, and Beijing is now ahead of India in terms of naval power. China has 2 aircraft carriers in service and launched another one last year. Now India is weighing whether to build a second homegrown carrier.
That's all for today's China in Focus on YouTube. We're now sharing a shortened version of our program here after being demonetized for more than a year. Here's what's coming up in our second half. Is America becoming more like communist China? A survivor of China's Cultural Revolution says yes. After living in the U.S. for decades, she's now running for Congress. American Thought Leaders host Jan Jekielek sat down with her for details. The full episode is available on our partner platform, Epoch TV. To sign up, click the link down below. Thanks for watching China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer, and see you tomorrow.
The 2022 NTD 8th International Chinese Vocal Competition will be held from September 29th to October 2nd at the Merkin Hall of Kaufman Music Center in New York City. The competition is honored to have specially invited vocalists with the world-renowned Shen Yun Performing Arts to serve on its panel of judges. The gold award is $10,000. For more information, please visit vocal.ntdtv.com.